Well, greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to tonight's second half. Before we jump into tonight's second half, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon. And folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They are appreciated and they do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into tonight's second half, shall we? All right, folks, tonight's second half is an interview with a search and rescue person out of Virginia. And with the theory of an East Coast hotspot, a 5-state East Coast hotspot, Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky being the hottest of that location. And then all along the East Coast, it kind of spreads out from there. I think this is kind of a very, very good person to look into that with. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. Tonight I have a friend of the channel. A lot of you guys know him in the comment section. He is a SAR personnel, which is search and rescue. He lives out in Virginia, and his name is Opie. Opie, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. Pretty much, you know how the floor plan is. So as of right now, I'm going to give you the floor plan, and if I have any questions, I will interrupt you and ask you.
Excellent.
All right, so let's get on with you've had 2 encounters. Let's get to your first encounter, the one that changed everything for you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Well, believe it or not, everybody's heard the story, and it all leads up to your most common mistake for a smoker. I was actually driving to the store. Mostly, I did snuff, but I was having a cigarette at the time until I got to the store. I was nicking out, so I'm getting out across the bridge, and I got to flip the cigarette out, and it just decides to fly back in. We've all had that accident before, and I'm thinking it's probably under me. I could smell it burning, so I'm sitting up, kind of across to the steering wheel, and I get up to a airport we have. It's about a mile down the road. I pull in there, I get out, and it's about around 8:30. It's already pitch black dark, and there's no lots around that area. Usually there's a little bit of lot, but everything is pitch black at this point. But I got to get out, and I'm trying to find a cigarette, and I can already hear a coyote up near the runway, and they're always hollering. There's always coyote out about that time of night, and I'm sitting there digging and looking, and I hear movement, and behind the bushes, like it sounds like it's running, and you can just hear its weight. Like it's big, but you don't really think that you're going to see what you're about to see. It actually sounded like a cow, a bull running, but I figured it's best to get back in the car because I kind of was about to get ambushed by a coyote. Well, I get in the car and I'm getting ready to back up, but the car is sideways, facing the fence. I'm probably about 30 yards away from it, and give you an idea, the fence itself, it's a little over, probably about 8 feet, just enough so nobody can get over it. It's got barbed wire lined on top of it. Well, I look over, and all I can see is, it just a predator's eyes, but there's something different about them other than the fact that they look just massive. And it reminded me the glow was like the embers of a fire you would actually see, like when a fire is about to go out, but you could still see the embers glowing. And that's what it put me in mind of. And at this time, everything's going through your mind, but reality, it's like, I have no idea maybe it's a coyote. And then that growl, it's that one growl that separates everything you've ever dealt with in woods. I used to hunt a lot. And just after a while, I got to the point where I got more, I guess you could say, in tune with nature. I started caring more about, I took life more seriously. I didn't feel the need to hunt anymore. The only time that I would ever harm an animal is if it was trying to harm me or if I was starving, which never came to any case yet, thank God. But I see these eyes. I can't make out a body, but then that growl, and it's just like the subwoofers from a sound system, a competition sound system. It just, you can feel it in your chest, through your body, and I'm thinking to myself, there's nothing that could produce a sound like that. And it's like the growl itself, it came off to me as like, look, man, you stay on your end, I'll stay on my end, and nothing will go down. But he just kind of stood up, and that's when it hit me. I was like, okay, this ain't no damn coyote. This is damn. It was well over 7.5 feet. I went back and measured the fence itself, and I kind of got an idea as to where the eyes were, and if it really wanted to clear that fence to get over it, to get to me, it could have done it easily. And I'm sure it would have had no problem dragging me out of that car and doing whatever it wanted. But it didn't. As soon as I was getting ready to turn around and put headlights on it, it was gone. Just like that. This happened, I want to say it was actually right at about, I think it might have been February. It's somewhere in that area. It was still winter. Well, a few months play on, and I'm getting a lot of my equipment together. It's about 4 a.m. And I hear my dog making, it was excited. Max, he's a big Labrador. He's mixed. He's a lab and husky. He's a big dog, really big dog. He's white with one blue eye, and he's not scared of anything, but he's also not the sharpest tool in the shed, but God love him. And I start hearing him barking, and his buddy come to visit him, and I'm like, what is he going on about? And his lot, we have for him, his kennel, is right, you can look out the kitchen window in the backyard, and you can see it plain as day. I want to say maybe 50 or 60 yards from the house, and the street lot between the house and my neighbor's house, which is actually pretty close. The lot itself reaches out past his lot, so you can see whatever's going on. I look out the window, and all I could say in my mind was trying to comprehend what I was looking at, because it wasn't an animal and it wasn't human. It was literally, to me, I was the best to compare it to. It reminded me of the monster from Rampage, Ralph, which is exactly what I named it from here on out. Trust me, it was a male. I got a good look, and it was a dude. And him and Max were just, like, you know how a dog gets down on the ground and playing with you, like if you move your hand or something, or another dog is kind of like they're playing freeze tag, you know, get down and stop for a minute, kind of pat their paws and just move to the left and the right. And they were both doing that. Ralph, as I've called it, his size alone, he would move to the left and to the right, but he was so big, he just didn't have far to go. Max was running left and right. He looked like he was almost out of breath, but he was too excited to really give a crap about resting. And, you know, this Dogman, he is patting his paws, his hands on the ground and moving left and right. And he was panting. And I could see teeth. And I've never seen anything like that on an animal. I mean, it could easily eviscerate anything it cut into. I mean, it's just like a mouthful of just razors. And, you know, they did this for this whole entire encounter probably lasted, it felt like an hour, but it couldn't have been any more than probably 1 or 2 minutes. And all of a sudden he stands up, and he's gray with a white patch, just one white patch of hair there on his chest. And it kind of looked like he had a little bit of white there around his ears. I really couldn't tell that all, you know. And he sticks his nose up in the air, and there's an apple tree, small apple tree right next to Max's lot. And if this thing wanted to, he could just easily reach up and grab the top. And it would have been no problem for him. He wouldn't even have to stretch out. He could just reach up and grab it. Just long arms, like from the elbow to the hands, were just elongated. They remind me of a monkey or a chimp, actually. He had a tail, and he started sniffing. It looked just like a wolf. His head was like a wolf, snout and everything. Big pointy ears, cropped. And you could see the light reflected in his eyes. But he sticks his nose up in the air. You could see his 2 canines kind of coming down each side. They were so long, it just came out from over his lip. But he's sniffing the air, and he's kind of bobbing his head as he's sniffing. And he sort of leans, kind of turns to his right, and he's sniffing towards the river. And it's about a river. It's about 200 yards from behind the house. And he just drops down to all fours and takes off like a bat out of hell. I mean, he moves so fast. Nothing I've ever seen could even come close to describing how fast he moved. It was just gone. And this whole entire time, I'm scared to death. I'm thinking to myself, you know, he's getting ready to tear my dog to pieces. He's just luring him in. He's waiting for it. And the only thing I have is a single shot 10 gauge and a bolt action 300 Win Mag that only holds 3 rounds. I'm not going to be able to, if I miss and this thing's coming at me, or if there's more, which from what I've researched, there's always more. There's at least 3 to 4 to a hunting pack, and they are ambush predators. Every story I've heard, they always have that one as a decoy, that one that you're going to want to look at, that you're going to pay most attention to, while the other 3 are coming up from behind you. And by the time you realize that it's done, it's over with. And just like the retired police officer at the ambulance encounter, after hearing that, it opened my eyes to a lot of the situation that I'm in. It actually helps me think this through, but I never expected it to just, you know, treat my dog like its best friend and then just leave. I don't think that they're, you know, I don't think all of them are bad. I think there are some out there that are bad, that a lot of people, some people call them bad bloods that I've heard referred to by some people. And all they want to do is kill. And there's been two encounters that actually happened in 2018. One of them taking place in Keokee, and two incidents that happened on Sandy Ridge in Jonesville. The one in Keokee is an older feller. Don't know his name right off, but Keokee is out in the middle of nowhere. This whole entire town is based right in the Appalachian Mountains. And there's wildlife everywhere of abundance. I mean, you'll see everything. Absolutely everything. Wild boar, coyotes are more common. You would see squirrel. But, here lately, it's been nothing. I saw 2 squirrels this year, and everything else has just been, I've heard coyote, and that's it. You don't see as many animals as you normally see. But, excuse me. The individual in Keokee, he was a black Dogman. This one just like a wolf. And he said that it smelled bad, like a lot of people describe. I always call it a grimace. I guess maybe I compare them to monkeys or chimpanzees more than I probably should, but for some reason I see a characteristic of both wolf and primate. I don't know why, for some reason I just get that feeling that there's a comparison in there somewhere. But he was able, he didn't have any close encounter with or anything other than seeing it. He drove off, and it changed this man. He was an avid raccoon hunter. That's all this man did. His whole hunt raccoon. A lot of people here make a lot of their living off raccoons. I mean, hunting raccoons, selling their pelt, or just hunting in general for food. It's the mountains. It's what a lot of people do. But the other 2 incidents claimed the lives of 2 horses, believe it or not. 2 people actually lost their horses. And it wasn't eaten. Both of them were torn to pieces. They were killed. Just didn't kill to feed on. But there was a witness from one of the attacks. And these people, a lot of people around here, you have some that experience these types of creatures, and then you have some that don't believe in it. I used to be one of those. I didn't believe. I mean, I took a great interest in cryptids for a long time. A lot of my favorites were lake monsters. Never until here recently I had ever encountered anything like that. But I'm trying to think of a way to word it. It's mind-numbing. You don't know what to think. You literally question your own sanity. The people that, the owners of the horse, they said it resembled to them as a hyena. And a lot of people have discussed about how the hyena types are always the most violent. That most encounters they have encountered have been nothing good come out of it. They described it as being faster than anything they ever seen. It looked just like a hyena, had the hump on its back, how they hunch over. They described it as an Angus bull. It reminded them the way that their posture would have been like an Angus bull. It went down to all fours. It just took off, but it looked like a hyena. And it scared these people. They were terrified. I actually took a lot of interest in after my encounter. I wanted to know more about it. And I went to talk to the veterinarian who actually was with the police department to figure out basically what killed these horses. And I want to talk to him. He just wouldn't talk about it. He would not, he just wouldn't engage in conversation, almost like he just wasn't allowed to. And the police department, I tried to talk to the police department about it, same thing. They just did not want to talk about it. They had nothing to say. But you can tell from a person's expression that they know something. They know something that you probably should know. And it wouldn't be a bad idea informing people, but I guess in some cases involving this, who's going to believe you? We spend most of our life thinking, ain't no such thing as werewolves. You know, something from a horror movie. But that's not the case. It is definitely not the case. And I do believe that even the ones that I think might possibly not be dangerous, you know, that would deliberately attack someone, I do believe that they are still can be a threat, because a lot of animals only acknowledge humans as being just as dangerous as anything. Humans are known to be destructive, so naturally you're going to be defensive to the one thing you know it's a major threat. I do believe that they would actually, if felt threatened, would attack a person, I believe, personally. But if they don't find you a threat, and if you don't respond to them as a threat, I don't believe that they'll bother you. I believe that some will be curious. They seem like a very curious creature. From a lot of encounters I've heard, a lot of people speak about not having to deal with occurrence of attack, but they do respond to territory. They have a tendency, naturally anything's going to defend its home. If its home is under attack, if it's going to be taken from you, your first instinct is to defend it. And I believe that's what they do. But I've heard so many different things, we can't really say anything for fact. Everything's just based off of what we see. And if you haven't had that experience, you can't really say that feeling, what it's exactly like until you really, really encounter it. It's literally like just watching a horror movie jump in front of you, but I don't know if I'd say a horror movie. What's supposed to be a fictional character from a horror movie has just somehow managed to make itself reality. You just witness it. You don't know how to respond to it. You're in doubt. Everything is just questions after questions. I had so many questions after my experience. It drove me crazy.
Yeah, I can definitely, like when you and I were talking earlier, there's that once you have had an encounter, there's just an obsession to know more about these creatures. And
yes, very much.
And I find your second encounter so interesting because, you know, there you are terrified for your dog's safety, and your dog Max has not a care in the world, just playing along with this creature. And, you know, I mean, like you said, it could have easily just swept it with one paw and grabbed it, and, you know, but it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't. It was almost like it wanted a playmate for a second.
Yeah, if he wanted to, I'm just going to go ahead and mention him by the name that I've given him, Ralph. If he really wanted to, he could have tore Max to pieces. There was nothing I could do, nothing Max could do, nothing in the world would have changed it. And what I could do was either, stand there and watch, and then eventually avenge his death, which could possibly lead to my death. I don't know how to take them. They're really, it's like you think you have them figured out, but you don't. It's like they always throw up some kind of surprise on you. Like at one point, I thought that they only migrated in this area around the summer, or usually around, within late spring. But I saw my first encounter was in the winter, and my aunt and my grandmother even had a brief encounter, which what I believe was the same one I saw. I don't think Ralph was the one at the airport. I think it was a different one, because my grandma and my aunt, they come by and visit every now and then. Right now, she's dealing with health issues. And that she's strong. She's 80 years old. She's tough as nails. I call her the Iron Granny. But when she gets worked up, when she sees something that shocks her, she is just all about it. That's all she talks about. And it really shook them up, because they were just getting past that area. From the airport, it was probably, It wasn't that far at all. I'm not exactly sure exactly where. They said that they weren't. They were almost at the airport. They were close, but that this big, massive, black dog-looking thing ran out in front of them. But they said at first they thought it was a bear, but then they realized it ain't a bear. It's too big to be a bear, and its head and ears look nothing like a bear. They said. And it was just fast. They said, they explained how the back, she said, it had kind of like a hump on its back. And again, described it like an Angus bull. But it shocked her. My aunt wouldn't speak of it. My aunt, she has an open mind, but when something, I guess you could call it a slap of reality, she just really doesn't know how to take it. And I think that's where I inherited it from, because I got a slap of reality and I did not know how to take it. But ever since a lot of this has happened, we don't have the wildlife that we had before. But we have bear in the area more now than ever, because, off and on, you'll see a black bear wandering around somewhere. I guess migrate. I'm not really sure what bears do exactly, but it's not common for them to come into this area where there's a lot of people. We don't normally see bears constantly, but this year it's been one after another, after another, after another, and most places you'll see them in the mountains. And I've been all over the mountains through here. Stone Mountain. There's a lot of encounters that happen there. I live close to a mountain called Phoebe's Butt. It's a weird name, but it actually looks like a butt on the map. Part of the mountain does. But there's an area up there. It's actually an old story that took place years ago when my dad was young. And they called it, they called it the Beech Grove Monster, which is actually, this incident took place, it's 2 minutes from my house going towards the Tennessee state line. And it just sounds better to call it the Beast of Beech Grove, to me. But people, coon hunters, would go up in there and they'd take their dogs. And a lot of people's dogs would either come back torn to pieces or just didn't come back at all. Later found them either mauled, or half-eaten. I couldn't explain it. Nobody could ever explain what it was. Some people assumed it was a bear that got a hold of it, or, mountain lion, cougar, whatever. I honestly, God, don't know if there's cougars that come in this area, but I do know that we do have mountain lions. But nobody could figure out what it was. They would hear it. They'd talk about how they would hear howls, but it didn't sound like a howl of a wolf, kind of like a combination of a howl with woman's scream. It'd probably be definitely a best story for my dad to actually explain. He can tell that story so much better. But there's been people from this area that do talk about it a lot, often. Usually if the subject's mentioned, that's usually what they talk about. It's the Beast of Beech Grove.
That's interesting. That's the more I keep finding out, the more encounters that I hear from the South, that the older generations, they have a way of talking about it, like it's like they're, it's normal for them to talk about it, and just like over dinner or something back in, it's just, now they're so secretive about them now. It's truly,
I think probably like the generation, a lot of the generation, it's become more criticizing, I guess. People back in the old days, your word was, it's your credit.
Yeah, your word was
everything
bond.
That's based on who you are, what you say, everything is based on your word. Well, who you are as a person, that was your credit. That's what you got by on, your trust. And back then, a lot of people didn't have a lot of time to be this, and a lot of people lived in mountains, lived in the mountains in cabins. My grandfather, he grew up in an old cabin on the mountain. My dad, same thing. He grew up in the mountains a lot, and just a lot of the encounters that people have, I've noticed that it definitely came out of a lot of the areas that aren't near town, most town areas. It's always located in a deep area in the mountains. But things are changing, and I don't know what. I don't know if it's the corona situation. There's been more wild animals pushing into populated areas. As a fact, a few months ago, I actually had a timber wolf that was seen in Norton, just walking down the sidewalk like I own the place. And that's not something that happens often. Norton, it's located in Wise County, Virginia. It's probably about, I want to say about 2 hours from here, give or take. But if you ever go there, it's not a place that you'll ever see a wolf, ever.
Yeah, that's definitely, and I really find it, it's terrifying that the bear are coming off the mountain, that there's a bigger predator up there that is pushing the bear down, and I remember the day that you sent me the message, and I was like, that's crazy. That is just, for a bear to be afraid. Now, there's got to be more than just one or more than four for a lot of bear to come down. So they're migrating somewhere. They're migrating south, migrating, who knows? Maybe that call-in that was talked about a couple of months ago by William Victor is happening. I don't know. We really don't know what's going on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just find it fascinating that
it is.
That something
it is very fascinating.
Is capable of pushing bear off of their territory. It's fascinating and terrifying all at the same time.
Very terrifying. They don't have many enemies. It's probably, especially in this area, he's the king of his jungle.
Yeah.
There's nothing, absolutely nothing out there that should push him away from his jungle, It's happening. And now it is just mind-blowing. You don't hear about stuff like this. I've never heard of anything like it. I used to hear stories. I don't know if there's any truth to it or not. This is just totally, to me, would be hearsay. I heard in places said they had found bear dug up, like I guess dug out of hibernation, wherever it is they're hibernating, and had been half eaten. Like I said, that could be hearsay. I'm not 100% on it, but I find it very interesting that something could do that.
Yeah,
if it was
definitely.
Possible.
Definitely. That's opportunistic apex predator right there.
That is something that, and their tactics, everything I've read about, what I've studied, people I've interviewed, their tactics change up. And I understand a thing or two about tactics when it comes to, having a plan. These things always seem to have 4 or 5. Every time a description of one attacking a person's home, they always have backup. They never do anything alone. And if one plan does not work out, they change it up. They'll go to a completely different tactic. And in many ways, that's genius. what would you even think? You throw your enemy into confusion, or your prey. And, the one way to something like that, there's only so many creatures out there that are other than human that are capable of that, and mostly it's primate. A lot of predators do it, but in the manner that these things do it, it is an obvious form of intelligence. And the one thing is not as much as terrifying as teeth and claws, it's the capability of how it uses its brain. That is the most terrifying thought of all, is how well it can think.
Yeah, it's, I mean, they, like you said, they change it up. They're always, it seems like, they're always a couple of steps ahead, and it's like almost military tactics. They've been doing this for so long that they've mastered the art of being that apex predator, being the attacker. It's certainly, it never ceases to amaze me or fascinate me, but it's still chilling to know how intelligent these things are. Because you don't think they'd be intelligent. You think, oh, it's some 8-foot walking dog. It's probably dumber than a box of rocks. It's just going to chase you through the woods. Well, yeah, it's going to chase you through the woods, but it's going to be very tactical about it.
That's exactly what's terrifying about them is, anything can chase you. Anything can outrun you. But is it going to have a plan between the time that it's after you and the time that it catches you? Is thinking, he had, and not just that, but working together. I mean, wolves and primates are very keen and known for teamwork. But when you got something that knows how to create a diversionary tactic and use one of them to draw the attention of their prey while the others are creating a U-shaped ambush, I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And you think it's only something with the power of, thinking, being quick on its toes, of using its brain to do something like that. What else can it do? Open doors, look through windows, identify a gun or a weapon? I mean, and a lot of it does make you think the government part in it, that how they can associate with something like that. Did they learn it from that? Like what Victor says, they trained them, and now they're all calling them in, and it feels exactly like there is human interference in with this.
Yeah.
They've been taught a lot. But the part that blew my mind is just how Ralph adapted to Max. How they had a relationship just off the bat. I mean, I expected to see evisceration. I expected bad right off the bat. You see something like that, naturally you're not going to think good things are about to happen. But it blew my mind. I mean, that was a relief. But the problem was, I just kind of figured it was coming before the storm. When he took off running towards the river, I thought, man, it ain't over. It's not over. And I'm expecting him to be around the house. One of them's hiding. He's getting ready to jump Max while his back's turned. Something's getting ready to go down. And since then, I'm already working on fixing Max a place closer to the house to where he can get in the house. But, it'd be easier for him to get in and not one of those things.
Right.
It's kind of connected to his lot. That way he can kind of go outside, do his thing, come in the house, whatever. But I'm trying to use that. And my dad, he doesn't question it. He sees it. I mean, he's seen sign of it being around, that there's something wrong. How, nature is not responding as to what he's used to seeing. I mean, my dad growing up, he had a groundhog named Dolly as a pet. They found and raised it. They released it to the wild, but Dolly kept coming back to the house to where they lived at. And that kind of, usually, I'm not really sure where I'm going with this, but he understands how things work out when it comes to animals. There's a lot of them around, but when they just disappear or just very, very seldomly show up in an area, there's something not right. There's something off about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's probably, I mean, just talking to you earlier, I know how much your dog means to you.
I love Max and
I think,
miss him a little Shih Tzu to death.
Yeah, I
They're
think
both
that
my
would
world.
be the best bet, is to, figure out a way of keeping it. I mean, even though the encounter, there was nothing that happened, you can't chance it, because
Exactly.
like you said, we don't know what they're thinking. We have not a clue. They might be, Ralph might be having a good day, one day and
Yep.
playing, and there's boom, the next day, unfortunately, your best friend is gone, and that would be terrible. So
yeah, and I'm a vengeful person when it comes to someone I love. If something hurts something I love, someone I love, I take it pretty hard, and there's hell to pay for whatever end. But with something like this, you don't really know how to deal. You can't fight it without having to fight more and more and more, and it just doesn't stop.
Right.
Everybody that's had an encounter with one has had an encounter with more than one, and it never ends pretty, ever.
Oh.
I pray that I never have a negative encounter with any of them. I admire them so much for what they are, but I don't want that to be changed with, them taking something really special to me and close to me away.
Absolutely. Opie, we're coming up on time. I want to thank you for coming out today.
Most definitely, Jeff.
I'm glad we finally got together. I've been looking forward to doing this.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but I'm glad that I got to come on and talk. It really helps getting to talk about things, especially stuff like that you don't have many people to talk to about.
Right on. And I'm sure the comment section is going to be filled. And like I said, I mean, you are a fixture in that comment section. You're always in there, conversing and doing your thing. So I think it'll be a good one.
I love everybody there, man. Everybody's cool. You got some pretty cool followers.
We're a family, it's one great big tight knit community, and I love that. I love that it's turned into this. So, and it's more you guys than it's me. I just give you guys a platform, and you guys make the channel. So I'm grateful for all of you guys.
Jeff, we're grateful for you, man. Most definitely. I mean, you've given
you.
us all an outing. You gave us something to learn from, to get off of the things that we're dealing with, those who have had encounters and those who are afraid. You give us a way to be able to deal with that, and it helps a lot. And believe me, I'm sure I speak for many, many, many people that follow you. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Is there anything that you'd like to say? Some final last words to everybody?
Just stay safe. If you see one, don't approach it. Just keep your distance. Try to read the signs a little better, but just keep your distance. Don't know how to take one. It could be having a good day one day, and then the next, before you know it, you could just be watching a diversion. Just be careful. Be very careful.
Right on. All right, brother. Thank you for coming on, and have a good rest of the night.
Thank you, Jeff.
Well, there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's second half as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Terrifying experience, along with some pretty good theories with Opie. Really nice guy. Had a lot of fun talking with him. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support that keeps the channel growing and going, and what gives people like us a chance and a place to share our experiences and theories judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect we all deserve. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. And until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.